Hi, I'm Nathan Cruz and welcome to a special episode of Inside the Toy Room. So today we're not actually talking about toys, we're actually here to talk about the brand new Godzilla vs Kong movie, which I have been eagerly anticipating for so long, pretty much since I watched King of the Monsters, and I knew this was the next film that was going to be coming out. This, I want to warn everybody, is going to contain spoilers, but if you do want to check out my review without any spoilers, a spoiler-free review if you will, then you can click on this link right here and you can check out my review that's going to be spoiler free. But from here on in, there's going to be all kinds of spoilers. So first of all, let's just dive into what that film was brilliant. In regards to a monster film, it was fantastic, I felt. For somebody who grew up watching these Godzilla films as a kid, I just thought they did such a good job of this. Is it going to win an Oscar? No, but it was never going to be that type of film, you know. It's monsters fighting each other. And what I loved so much about this film was the sci-fi element to it. Godzilla 2014, when Legendary first started the Monsterverse, was grounded very much in reality as it could get with giant monsters, right? And as the series has progressed, it's become a little further away from reality. This really explored the theory of having a hollow earth, a living habitat inside our earth's core, where all these titans originally came from, and they really used that. The film's very much a Kong film, as you know. For the people who have seen it, I kind of feel like it was focused more on Kong, and I feel that's because you can humanize him a lot more than you can humanize Godzilla. So they did a really good aspect. Team Kong, the people around him, got a lot more camera attention than Team Godzilla. I kind of felt that if there was a weak point in the film, it was Team Godzilla. They were just kind of there almost as comedy relief, and there was some kind of plot flaws, I'd guess you'd call them, when it came to the human aspect. But I'm not nitpicking, because one of the main criticisms that Legendary's got over this series, particularly if you go back to that first 2014 film, was let's see the monsters fight. Particularly in the Godzilla films, like Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla King of the Monsters, pretty much all of the fight scenes took place at night or with around big storm clouds, and so you couldn't really see it that well. This, they did so well. Whether it be the underwater fights, the fights on the aircraft, and then when they finally get to Hong Kong, they used the neon so well to light all the monsters up. It was brilliant. When Kong first gets to the center of the earth, into Hollow Earth, and he fights Warbat, again, daylight, so you can see all the action, and I thought that was really good. Mechagodzilla. Now let's get into Mechagodzilla. I mean, it had been spoiled for us for a long time that he was going to be in this film, right? We knew he was going to be in it. It was always going to be interesting to me on how they did him. I didn't like his look. I still don't like his look. It was them hands that look like a blender. I just didn't like that. But the scene where they test him against a skull crawler and he holds it up, and this was the big villain in Skull Island that you're now almost feeling bad for, because it's at the mercy of this mechanical evil thing, and you just see the desperation as it's held up by either arm, and then he just bends it in two. I thought that was a really sinister scene, and it really set the tone for just how evil this mechanical Godzilla is, Mechagodzilla obviously. But there were so many good little throwbacks and nods. If we go right to the start of the film pretty much starts out with a Godzilla attack. It reminded me a lot of those earlier Godzilla films. You look at, say, Godzilla vs. Destroyer from 1995, that film starts with Godzilla on a rampage, and this started up very much in the same way, as he goes into Apex and destroys it all. And of course, everyone's like, well, what's going on? Why is he destroying this? And it's because Mechagodzilla has got the same technology as the Oracle from King of the Monsters, which is a good throwback, and it connected those things. Did a really good job of that, I felt, and giving us those little nods to the previous films. Now, I obviously had the big prediction that Kong had been marketed as Kong so that he could defeat the King of the Monsters, this guy right here, to earn the title King Kong. And my theory was incorrect, and I'm so happy it was incorrect, because, realistically, on his best day, Kong would struggle to defeat Godzilla. And throughout the film, obviously, the first fight that they have, if it wasn't for the human element, Godzilla would have killed him straight away. Kong also needed help with Warbat. So when it gets to that final fight scene in Hong Kong, it was done so well. I mean, obviously they said, oh God, it looks like round 2 goes to Kong, but then they get into round 3 and Godzilla just tears him into, and you feel bad for Kong. I'm a Godzilla fan and I'm rooting for Godzilla, right? But as you're watching the film, because they did such a good job with the relationship with Kong and the small girl and him learning sign language and really humanizing him like that, when it came to the fight and him trying to stand up but his shoulders dislocated and he can barely stand and he just has to accept the fact that Godzilla's won this one, and the music just as it pans away as Godzilla leaves him and he's just defeated and this sad music came in, it was like you felt really bad for Kong, you really did. And of course then they both team up to take on Mechagodzilla, which I thought they did really well. Now obviously I loved the fact that Mechagodzilla was being controlled by someone evil, but then he gets that technology from Hollow Earth, they use that and it just overloads Mechagodzilla and Ghidorah's brain kicks in, and then that's it, it's just going on a rampage and wants to kill everything in sight, including Godzilla. And Godzilla's just come out of this epic fight with Kong, and then he has to go and face a mechanical version of himself that's got all the technology to just absolutely maul him. And of course Godzilla's getting absolutely destroyed until Kong rallies up and goes, okay, I'll do the right thing, gets up, pops his shoulder back in, that was awesome, and then off he comes, he's got the axe. And they just had these two work together so well in using the axe again, and then, you know, at the end Godzilla's like, you best put that axe down, and Kong's like, don't want to mess with you again. And off Godzilla returns into the sea, and you have this beautiful closing scene of Kong now in Hollow Earth, you know, being happy at home, and the using of the air that I breathed by the hollies I thought was a really good just a nice way to close the film. And there's been a lot of criticism about how Millie Bobby Brown was used in the film as a comic relief, and was it just a waste of an actress in that regard. And yeah, I see where people are coming from with that, because she was such a prominent character in the King of the Monsters film that I would have liked to have seen her have a bit more screen time and a bit more of a, I guess, a more of a serious role within this one. You know, this is a girl we're kind of seeing grow up, but also the Monsterverse hasn't got no particularly an ending on it. In fact, the directors recently said that the reason they didn't have a post-credit scene is because, unlike the Marvel universe, which is all mapped out individually and they know where they're going years ahead, with the Monsterverse it's a bit different. Nothing's been commissioned to go ahead any further. They're just looking on how the fans react to these films and if they want more of them. So it's really so dependent on us. You know, did we enjoy it? Do we want to see more? What we did like, what we didn't like. I felt that the film was, in regards to being a monster film, was perfect. It's exactly what a monster film should be. They put so much focus this time on making the monsters the star of the film, and in particular Kong more so than Godzilla. But I felt this was the best they'd showcased Godzilla as well. They showed him fighting underwater and him, you know, being more of a tactical fighter. They added that smile to him again. They used that in King of the Monsters when he turned into Burning Godzilla and he destroys Ghidorah and he just smirks just before he puts his foot through his chest. And they did the same, like where Kong is starting to try to fight back and Godzilla's just like, nah mate. He has this evil smile on his face like, I'm gonna destroy you right now. I thought they just did a real good job at really putting the attention on the monsters. If we get more of these, that's gonna be amazing, and I hope we do. But it is also, I did leave the film thinking, where do they go from here? You know, Mecha Ghidorah, possibly. You know, we've seen him obviously in the 1991 Godzilla vs King Ghidorah. It would be good to see him in a more modern look, but it is one of those things that I kind of feel like with all the cameos of monsters that we got in King of the Monsters and the fights that we got in King of the Monsters and the fights that we just had in Godzilla vs Kong, how they nicely ended it with Kong now being at peace and Godzilla returned to the ocean. The majority of the villains are now destroyed and wiped off. Like, where do you really go with it? I'd be happy for it to just end there. If this is all we get for these Monsterverse films, is these 4 films from Godzilla, Skull Island, King of the Monsters, now Godzilla vs Kong, they're 4 great films, and I feel for a Western, you know, production company to produce films like this, done so well, with so much respect to the source material, maybe quit while we're ahead. I don't know. Is there space for improvement? Yeah, possibly, but it depends how you do it. It might be cool to see a prequel to Godzilla 2040 made. Maybe go all the way back to 1954 when, you know, Serizawa said in 1954 we awakened something. Maybe that would be cool to see Godzilla in 1954 when they awakened him with the nuclear tests, and you know what did happen then. That would be kind of interesting to see, kind of a Skull Island version of Godzilla's origin before 2014, but who knows where they're going to go with it. All I can say for right now is that film certainly delivered. It was annoying I had to stream it at home because of the pandemic, but I know that come May, Cineworld in the UK are going to be doing a limited screening of Godzilla vs Kong, and you can bet your money I'm going to be booking a ticket to go watch this film again. I want to take my dad to go see it because I know he can't wait to see it either. But yeah, well done Warner Brothers, thank you so much, because I feel like you've taken, Warner Brothers and Legendary, you've taken something that was, you know, if 1998 taught us anything, it's something that definitely needs attention to detail and respect to the source material. And I feel that in this series, they've progressed as they've gone along, but they've done that. They honoured, you know, what fans wanted to see from Godzilla films and these giant monster films. We don't need necessarily a mega serious plot that makes us really wrench on our hearts or anything like that. We just need a good story and some awesome monster fights, and that's exactly what we got with this film. So yeah, thank you very much. Mechagodzilla could have looked better, but hell, it was an evil monster, and the fight scenes are just, the fight scenes were brilliant. I cannot say enough good things about those fight scenes. A, for how many they are, B, for how well they did it. So yeah, thank you very much Warner Brothers and Legendary for bringing us these movies, and if you make more, awesome. If you don't, I'm happy to it to end the way it is. It's a good film, check it out. What I'm even more excited to announce is that starting next week, we will be launching series 2 of Inside the Toy Room. And we're actually going to pick up on where we've started here with Godzilla, as we're going to take a look at the Trendmasters toy line that they did for Godzilla toys, not just including the 1998 Godzilla toys, but the ones that they did more so for the Japanese Godzilla figures. So we're going to be taking a look at them next week, so join us then for series 2 of Inside the Toy Room.